Right now, new concerns about China after its recent attempt to police the skies over a vast area of the China Sea area, an area that includes a group of uninhabited islands controlled by Japan but claimed by China, and a disputed submerged rock that both China and South Korea want to control. The U.S. getting involved now, sending two long-range American B-52 bombers through the contested airspace. This happening on Tuesday. The move seen as a message from Washington that it will defy China's attempt to expand control over airspace in the region. Bringing in now retired Colonel Cedric Leighton, former Deputy Director of the NSA and former member of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. Good to see you and happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving to you too, Arthel. It's good to be with you.
Fantastic. Let's go right to this. So why is China establishing this air defense identification zone? Is it more about military might or money?
It's really about both. It's military might, but the military might is also about the economic might of China. And China is a huge country with a huge economy, and it's poised to be the #1 economy in the world in the next few years. So what that means is that China is really developing something that's akin to the Greater East Asian Co-Prosperity Sphere. And that sounds like a really arcane term, but what it really is Japan's way of doing business back in the 1930s. And that was what precipitated our involvement in World War II. That's the kind of thing that we're talking about here. China has basically set up a system, an economic system, where they want to control all the resources that they touch. And if they do that, they feel that they will have more national power. And that's why you see such things as this happening, where they really have an air exclusion zone surrounding the Chinese mainland.
Yeah, and Vice President Biden is going to visit China, Japan, and South Korea next week. Now, as you know, the leaders of the latter two countries, they really don't like each other. Yet the U.S. is promoting Trans-Pacific trade deal. So now that China is declaring this new air defense zone through which, as we already said, two B-52 bombers went through Tuesday. Also, Japan and South Korea have now flown planes through this zone unannounced. So considering these new developments, how do you think that's going to alter the VP's Asia agenda?
It's going to make it a little bit tougher from a diplomatic standpoint. He's going to try to be tough with the Chinese, try to tell them to get rid of what the Air Force calls an ADIZ, or Air Defense Identification Zone. And when they do that, the discussions are what diplomats are going to call frank and meaningful in those cases. And hopefully the Vice President will prevail upon the Chinese to dial back on this ADIZ and allow commercial air traffic as well as military air traffic to take place like it always has for the past 50 years.
And Colonel Leighton, there is the rock, the submerged reef, and the surrounding waters very rich with natural gas and mineral deposits. South Korea claims jurisdictional rights to the waters. You know, they're like back off China, not to mention the historic and long-running dispute between Japan and China over control of the Senkaku Islands. Also sitting on top of mineral reserves. How delicate is diplomacy in the face of tradition versus political progression?
It's very delicate in this case because the two are really coming to blows with each other. What you have is the traditional approach that is based on historical precedent, all of those things, and then you have the mix of natural resources or even potential natural resources being there. So with things like natural gas, oil, other minerals potentially being in these areas, each of these countries is going to try to exert a claim over this territory. And when they do that, the natural outcome is that there are going to be disputes. Hopefully these disputes can be resolved peacefully, but if not, we risk getting into a big conflict that could become, unfortunately, a hot war if we're not careful.
Yeah, no one wants that, of course. Let's hope that, not to make light of it, but I hope Vice President Biden has a big bottle of Tums to take with him for that trip to Asia next week. Colonel Leighton, happy Thanksgiving to you, and thanks for your time today.
My pleasure, Arthel. Happy Thanksgiving to you as well.